in Los Angeles. I'm from New York, you know that. And once in a while, Cabaret comes to L.A. And this Cabaret performer, Andrea Marcovicci, I must tell you, an international singing star. She's not just a singer. She's an actress who really started in soaps years ago, years and years ago, I must tell you. Love is a Manysplendored Things. Is that correct? I don't remember that show. When was this? In L.A. here or in New York?
No, it was a New York soap. It was on CBS.
Ah.
And it was so long ago, and I don't mind my saying so, it was so long ago that when it was on the very first time, it was live.
It was live.
It was a live show.
Was it tough to do a live show?
It didn't last very long live. It was only the very first 2 weeks that I was on, then it went to tape.
Because
it was 1971.
And that's, oh my, I was in Vietnam until 72. My, that's why I missed it. That's why I missed it. Andrea,
it was 30 years ago.
30 years ago. And you became a singer. When did you develop and found out that you were singing? You knew it all.
No, I started as a singer.
Oh, you did?
I was a singer before I was an actress.
You're kidding.
And I was a folk singer first. And when I was on Love is a Manysplendored Thing, they were so kind. I was just a baby. That was my very first job. I started as a teenager. I was on that show, and I played a doctor. I got to be a doctor in a year and a half of medical school. I was the very first person to finish medical school in a year and a half. And it was a great experience. It's how I learned to be an actress. I sang on that show because they were so kind. They loved my voice. It was a fledgling little voice. And while I was on that show, I was nighttime. I'd be on Broadway. I did a Broadway show with Howard Keel during that. I was off Broadway.
What show was that?
The Ambassadors with Howard Keel.
That's in the 60s.
And no, 70s.
No, 70s.
No, I'm not. I'm not that old.
No, I meant the 70s. Yeah, 70. I don't mean to put. I love Howard Keel. Working with Howard Keel.
He was heaven. He was heaven. He was so handsome and so fatherly and so protective. I still know him to this day. He
he's
comes
great.
to see me
I interviewed
sing.
him several times.
And Danielle Darieux was in that as well. So they would give me these opportunities to sing with my guitar. And I used to write my own songs in those days.
Folk singing.
I was a folk singer.
God, I couldn't believe you.
And then my next opportunity to sing was as a cabaret. I was in rock and roll musicals. I was in Iphigenia at the Public Theater. And then I was on Broadway, on and off Broadway, all the way through until I was at Reno Sweeney. Do you remember Reno Sweeney?
Reno Sweeney, of course, very well.
That was my first cabaret life. As a cabaret singer. When I was in the front with Woody Allen, I also opened at Reno's.
I see.
And I did Reno's for 3 years, from 75 to 78. And then I moved to Los Angeles, to West Hollywood, where I used to see you hanging around the French Market thing.
The French Market.
Remember?
Yes, of course, but that's when I returned from Vietnam in 72. And then I start doing showcases at the E Little Club in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, right.
Right. Did you work that too later
I
on?
never had a chance to. No, because by the time I came out here,
Because I remember
wasn't
seeing
singing,
you
I
at
was
a
just
club
acting.
on Robertson. What was that club? Your very famous club, a gay club. It was very downstairs.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
was
about
it?
that one, where Joan Rivers also did.
That's
the back
right.
lot.
The back lot.
The back
And you
lot.
used to sit on the piano.
Yes.
And I thought that was unique.
Well, it
Very
wasn't.
Edith
It was.
Piaf-ish.
It was Helen Morgan-ish.
Well, Edith
Edith
Piaf
Piaf
and
never
Helen
sang
Morgan.
on a
No,
piano
I
ever.
understand that, but
She just
she'd
stood there like
stoop,
this.
Yeah.
She
You do
sang
Edith
like
Piaf
that.
too, don't you?
Edith Piaf, Karen Akers does it better, Edith Piaf.
Yeah.
But no, Edith Piaf always stood and sang. But Helen Morgan was the one who sat on the piano, and I started sitting on the piano at the Gardenia.
That's it. Okay.
Now, the Gardenia started in '85.
The
for
Gardenia,
me.
the man is from
Tom
New York.
Rolla.
Tom.
He's from Philadelphia originally. Then he was in the cast of Applause. And he opened the Gardenia in the '80s. And I started there in '85. And from '85 on, I've sung at the Gardenia.
You know who's coming there next week?
I'm going to be there. Are
Julie
you?
Wilson.
The great
The great Julie
Julie Wilson
Broadway.
is opening on March 17th.
18th,
And
which
she's
is
gonna be
this
there
Wednesday.
For 2 weeks, this Wednesday.
Is she coming to town earlier, you think?
She's there now.
She's here?
she was at my, on Saturday night, she was at the Cinegrill.
She
so
was?
she's here.
Oh, I got to call her. I
She's
can
here.
interview
I'll
her
give you the-
tomorrow.
Okay, well, do you want me
I
to-
got to call her. You give me
I'll
your
call
number.
her
Anyway,
tonight.
would you do that?
I'll call her tonight.
I
So
love
it was
this
at
lady.
the Gardenia that I started to sing in '85. So it isn't as if I suddenly started singing.
Right.
It was '85 that I continued my singing career. Then I went to New York to the Algonquin
Right.
in '87.
Now, come on, let's get to the Algonquin. I mean,
Let's.
that is the
Let's.
room in Manhattan.
It is, yeah.
The room. When you
16 years I've been there.
first arrived at that room, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody wanted to work that room.
Everyone.
Tell me, Andrea, what was it like opening night?
Well, oddly enough, because we just talked about Julie, I remember clearly my opening night because she was there the week before me.
Right.
And when I went in to rehearse for the very first time, I was terrified, and I was hanging around watching her rehearse. And I think she saw me out of the corner of her eye, and I think she just wanted to scare me because she yelled, "Tell her the old broad ain't through yet."
She's a Midwest.
And I went, oh, because I thought that I'd intruded on her rehearsal. And she was just teasing me. And since then, we've become very, very good
She's a
friends.
great poet. She stopped performing for a while.
She did, to take care of her family.
Her family, her kids.
Her family came first, always.
In the Midwest. She's
Yeah.
a Midwestern girl.
Yeah.
And she is a very devoted, but I'm so
Well,
happy
when
to
I
see
opened
her
at the
back.
Algonquin, all my dreams came true.
Who were there that night, opening night? You must
Well,
have.
you know my friend Henry Jaglom, don't you?
Of course.
Well, Henry was
You
very...
were with him, weren't
yes,
you?
I was.
Tell me, let's
was
get...
beh-
He backed your career.
Very much so.
And you were togetherness.
Very much so, he did.
Henry
He
is a
helped
good
me
producer.
so much. Very much.
I met him with Shelley Winters.
Yeah.
They're good friends.
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell me
But
about it.
I was in his movie Someone to Love, and I was also, I mean, we were great friends. And he helped me learn to improvise and learn to, I would say, to be completely confident in the fact that I was enough and to
To find
create all
yourself,
that-
to find
myself.
yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
still
we were
today.
there together on my opening night, and it was, he had half the Monty Python crowd there,
Right,
and
right.
I don't know whether Richard Dreyfuss was there that night, but I
Sally
had lots
Kellerman
of,
and all these
yeah, I had
people.
lots of stars there.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
what happened there for me was that since I have such a strong connection to the literary world and to Dorothy Parker and to Edna St. Vincent Millay, I developed a way of performing that includes literary works and
Yes.
poetry. And I developed this rather bookish style of performing.
That's what you do, really.
Yeah, it's
that's
really a book show.
That is a book show. You are explaining right now. I just saw you at Feinstein's room.
Yeah.
You just closed there, and it was a great evening.
Yeah.
I went to see you, and boy, I was very surprised. It's a real book.
Yeah.
Tell me about the show that
Everybody-
you did.
Well,
just now.
everybody leaves knowing more about the subject matter than
Right.
when they came. I've never felt comfortable just doing a bunch of songs. It doesn't
Right,
interest
right,
me. So this
right.
was the Cole Porter show, this one. And it's the new CD, but it's so much more. I tell the story of Cole Porter's life and
And you
his
do it
life with
well.
Linda. Most importantly, I like to clear up how a gay man loved a woman so much.
Right, right.
And how he was married and how he traveled with her and what their life was like together. I don't do shows about, well, then he wrote and then he wrote and then he wrote. That doesn't interest me. What interests me is the emotional power of a great writer.
Right.
Where their heart was, what the psychological makeup was, how they grew up, what made them artistic.
Artistic, yes.
That's what fascinates me about writers. How did they become artistic? So my Frank Loesser show, for instance, which I'm doing at Pepperdine on March 19th, Friday night.
Oh, great.
And there's still some tickets available. There are. At Pepperdine, the Frank Loesser show is one of the best shows I've ever had the luck to do because his upbringing is fascinating. Fascinating. His mother never approved of him.
Really?
Never. His mother was highbrow and loved his half-brother, Arthur,
Right.
more because his half-brother was a classical pianist.
Oh.
And he was lowbrow.
Right,
You know, he
right.
was a Tin Pan Alley kind of guy. So I like to delve into the psychological history of the people that I
Right.
revere. And then I put the shows together based on psychology, not based on, here's an up song, here's a down song,
Yeah,
here's an
yeah,
up song.
right,
That
yeah.
doesn't, I mean, I could care less. And as a result, the shows have gotten more and more psychological as the years have gone by.
Yes,
and I
it
tell
has.
these incredible
Wow.
stories. And I interview people and I find out the best nutty stories. I mean, I'm
Right.
a little bit more like the work that you do,
Yes,
where
yes,
I want
but you
to
do it-
interview my subject.
Yes,
My
yes.
subject is usually dead, so I have to do it through books.
But you do it so well on that
Thanks.
stage.
It's fun.
So easy. And
It's fun. I also interview the audience a little too, because
You do.
they end up being a big part of the show,
Seems
don't
like
they?
you're enjoying it right now.
I have more fun than a barrel of monkeys.
What have you learned, Andrea Marcovicci?
Marcovicci.
What have-
Marcovicci, she's so peachy.
Marcovicci, what
It
have you
rhymes with
learned?
peachy.
I know. What have you learned about yourself since you've been doing these story shows and talking about these wonderful people? What have you learned?
I've learned a great deal, as you can imagine. I've learned that I have an indefatigable sense of humor
That's very important.
and a will to live that is astounding, because I battle depression.
You do?
Do you?
We all artists, I think, battle depression. But
Yeah.
how do you handle it? By
Um,
is it very serious with you?
it has been, yeah.
How do you handle
It
this?
has been. I deal with it by correctly facing it head on and monitoring
No
myself.
pills, no
And
nothing?
oh, lots of pills.
Lots of pills?
All the best pills available.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I've dealt with it by.
But you don't drink?
Oh no, not at all.
No, because this will affect your...
I learned to stay away from all substances, which is crucial. So if you're out there and you're depressed, first and foremost, stay away from all substances that are outside substances.
See, I
because
see you before the show, and you are mixed with the audience,
Yeah.
right there. You're not a performer stays backstage until the name is out
No,
there.
no.
You just walk out there, and you are petting yourself up and getting that energy.
I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
You just put your finger on it. The way I deal with any possible depression is to stay out. With people. Stay energetic by using the energy of the audience, using the energy of other people.
Yeah.
When I feel myself getting low, I do something for someone else. I extend myself. And especially, let's say, another artist. I'll
Right.
coach another artist. I'll make a phone call, find out how is your show coming. What are you up to? May I help you? Can I suggest a song? Do you need help on your show? What's going on with you? So I stay away from depression that way.
Where are you from originally?
New York City.
You grew up in New York, in Manhattan? And was it tough for you as a child growing up? How many kids, brothers, sisters?
I have an older brother, and I can't say I had any kind of struggle. My father was a doctor, much older than my mother, 33 years older.
33 years older, really?
Yeah, he was married twice before, and he met my mother. She was a torch singer.
Your mother was a torch singer.
She was a beauty queen, a model.
In Manhattan?
In Manhattan, and a torch singer. And they met on
Her
a
name
blind
was
date.
what?
Her
Her
name
name?
was Helen Stuart.
Helen Stuart. Okay. Did she work the Catskills at all? Or anything
Never.
Like that? No.
She
just
never got that
cabarets
far.
And just, oh.
She never got that far. She worked in New York at the St. Regis Maisonette and La Vie Parisienne and Bill Bertolotti's in various places. And then she went on a blind date with this very handsome, erudite doctor
Right.
named Dr. Eugene Ernst Marcovicci.
Andrea.
And
it's-
she fell in love, and she married him, and she had my brother rather quickly, and then me, and she gave up singing, and instead instilled in me this enormous love for music, and old songs particularly.
Do you think
Wonderful
she has any
old
regrets
songs.
about giving up her singing career?
Well, in a way, she doesn't have to, because she sings every Thursday at the Algonquin. She has her own
She
album.
does?
Yes.
Oh, she still sings. Andrea, I didn't. Oh,
I
how
gave her her
wonderful.
own album, and on her 85th birthday this year at the Algonquin, I gave her her own show. So she
85th.
celebrated her 85th in front of a packed out, sold out, paying audience.
How wonderful.
She's done Carnegie Hall with me. She did Town Hall with me. She's traveled the entire country as my guest.
How wonderful, Andrea. Just absolutely. What's happening here?
I
Don't-
was just checking.
doesn't matter,
Yeah.
darling. But I want to tell you, Andrea.
It's an amazing creature, my mother.
Your mother.
She's triumphed over great odds.
You got this album right now. It's
Yeah.
called How's Your Romance? Wow. Who did this album? Tell me about
Me.
this. Yes, but who
It's my own record label.
Your own record label?
I finally
Look
broke
up,
away
that
from
picture's great.
Thank
Who
you.
did the picture?
Heather Sullivan, K.T. Sullivan's
The
sister.
family, those
that
kids,
family,
all
I know
this
they're
family,
amazing. And actually, I'm working with Stacy Sullivan as well. I'm hoping to put her on my record label. She is a country singer, but she likes to sing our music. So we worked on the most marvelous show called My Romance, a Country Cabaret, where she takes the music of Jerome Kern and Kurt Weill and George Gershwin and Irving Berlin, and she does it country style.
Kurt Weill, you've done a lot of
I
his.
did, yeah.
Tell me about that show.
Well, I liked it because it was about Lenya and Weill and their relationship, and then I sang the Kurt Weill repertoire, but only in America. I didn't touch the German Kurt Weill.
Finian's Rainbow. Tell me about Finian's, one of my favorite shows, too.
You saw that?
Yes.
Yes, we did that for Reprise.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
That was heaven. I learned to sing in an Irish accent, which is very, very interesting, because, you know, they close off all their vowels.
They do.
I hear a bird. You have to sing on an R. A glockum or a bird. Bird. It's not so easy, you know. It's great fun. Great fun. I learned to clog dance, too.
And from that, you Cat on the Fiddle. Everybody did Cat on a Hot Tin.
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Everybody does that. Tell me about
Not,
that.
well,
Not everybody, but I meant
I
this
did
is
it
in
in
91, I remember.
I did it in a very different way.
Like what?
Well, I was in San Francisco with my now husband. He was.
What do you mean, now husband?
In other words,
Is he a producer? Or?
Oh, no.
Okay.
What
Go
happened
ahead.
is this. I went to do St. Joan in San Francisco. I was singing at the Algonquin.
You're a big hit in San Francisco.
I am.
Yeah, not
I have a
just
big
among-
career
You
in
have.
San Francisco,
Yeah.
a very big career, as an actress
Yes.
especially. And they invited me to do St. Joan, and I was at the Algonquin at the time, and I flew to San Francisco, cut off all my hair, exactly like this, mind
I
you.
like your haircut.
And there was a boy across a crowded room, literally. This is a true story. And I looked at this boy. He was 26 years old. I was 40. And I said, there's my husband. I knew it instantly, that that was my husband. And he was thinking the same thing. There's my wife.
What made you?
I just knew it. And that was my husband. Amazingly, we met that day. He said one of the lines of the play to me. And the line was, you are a bit of a woman after all. That was the line. And I knew. And we fell in love instantly on the spot, and we've been together ever since. We have an 8-year-old daughter.
Wow.
We've been married for 11 years. We've been together for 15. And we first did St. Joan, then we did Burn This, and then we did Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. So we have titles in common. But my cat was very different, because as you can tell, I'm enormously flat-chested. So I did not go towards...
But that's classy.
Well,
To
it was
have flat-chested
a
is
flat-chested
classy.
cat was a very interesting thing.
Right. It's classy.
No, I went for the notion of, and no one's ever really thought of this, everyone plays Maggie the Cat, sultry and slow.
Right.
My theory is this. If you have not had sex with your husband for over a year,
Right.
that does not make you languorous, slow, or sultry.
Right.
It makes you pissed off, nasty, short-tempered, a cat on a hot tin roof. That's a cat on a hot tin roof. Nasty and short-tempered and quick and edgy and skinny. Not languorous and soft and sultry and overweight. I'm sorry. So my feeling is it's always been played the same way. Now, I did not get good reviews for this.
Because
No.
of that reason, really?
Of course not. They said
no.
I played it like an aging ballerina.
Oh, God.
But I didn't care because
seem like
I
you-
really liked the way I played it.
Yeah. You do things that you want to do. You do it your way. It seems like Andrea does not, if someone tells you something, like I just told you something about your name. Just, no. It's been working for me.
Tell your
and-
audience what you said.
No.
You thought I should hyphenate at this late
Hyphenated,
stage.
Marco.
Okay, let me tell it. Skip E Lowe wanted me to change my name to Marco-Vici. I said, you want
Marcovicci.
to hyphenate me. At this late stage of the game, he wants to hyphenate me,
No,
like
but
all
you
those
do
hyphenate
things-
girls.
Andrea, you do things
Come on,
your
after 20,
own
30
way.
years in the
You do
business,
your
he wants
own
to
way.
hyphenate
Tell
me.
me about the room at the Feinstein. Did you enjoy it? Because you worked the Muro in Santa Monica, which is a good cabaret.
The Gardenia.
The Gardenia, really a good cabaret
And
room.
you know, I got permission to play the Cynic Girl from Tommy Rolla.
Yeah.
I called him and I said, would it upset you? And he says, yes, it would, but you should do it anyway. Let me explain. I had the band. You know, I had four-piece orchestra
It was
there
good.
at the
It's wonderful.
Cinegrill.
Uh-huh.
If I put four-piece orchestra in the Gardenia,
Right.
there wouldn't be an audience. I'd be singing for the band.
Yeah, right.
So
Neil Adams.
it was
is that
totally impossible. The Cinegrill is one of the most gorgeous, glamorous, heavenly rooms I've ever seen in my life.
It is. It's beautiful.
No question. It's like
Very
on
New
board.
York,
It's
very
like
New
on
York.
board ship too, though. There has this.
That's interesting.
It's
It is
almost like a Fred Astaire room, don't you
Yeah,
think? Because
yeah.
it has that touch of anything
you worked ships?
goes,
Have you
Cole
worked
Porter.
ships? Have you
Never.
never worked
Do you think
ships?
I should?
Oh, you'd be wonderful on ship cruises. Cruises, you would be excellent. I'm serious.
Are we
I'm
cruising?
surprised. No, I'm
Have
not.
we cruised? Am I cruising yet? I don't know.
You've been cruising for years,
I have.
darling.
I'm cruising for a bruising right now.
Tell me about your audience cruising.
Cruising.
It's a lot
Speaking of
gay,
cruising.
a lot of gay audiences. They love you. You have
Yeah.
a gay following.
Both male and
Liza
female.
Minnelli, Judy Garland, Low Dolly. They all have gay following. Why do you think? What makes it?
Because the gay audience is smart, and they love good music,
And
they
good
love
they know talent.
clothes.
Clothes, yeah.
And I'm into clothes. But I also have a female gay audience, which is very important, you know? I mean, as we would say.
Oh, you do have a female gay audience.
Oh, it's both.
Both. Okay, I didn't know
No,
that. Okay.
no, very much so, because occasionally I wear tails, and that's good
Uh-huh.
too. No, the truth is that soulful, good music of the American popular song, without our gay audience, our younger people wouldn't come into the
Right,
club. So my older audience, I count on because it's the music that they grew up with. My younger audience is coming from the gay scene,
Right.
and the middle audience is coming because they're bringing their children. And that's important. They're educating their kids through me. So I sing for 6-year-olds. Do you know that?
Yes, of course.
They come in. And my daughter's friends come.
But you're an entertainer.
And they dress up.
Andrea.
It's so
You're-
cute.
You're an entertainer. You just don't get out there and sing a song. What is
No.
the favorite show that you have done? Do you have a favorite you know?
Frank Loesser right now, because
that
it is the most
really?
diverse. See, Frank
I
Loesser.
thought the show I saw at the Roosevelt was just now. That
Oh,
would
it's
have been your
heaven,
favorite.
but Frank Loesser is my favorite for another reason.
Why?
Because Frank Loesser wrote with so many different collaborators.
Mm-hmm.
You see, before he wrote his own music, Frank
Right.
Loesser was writing with Jimmy McHugh,
Right.
Hoagie Carmichael, Burton Lane,
Wow.
Arthur Schwartz, and Julie Stein. So you have
Right.
5 composers already.
Right.
Then, before that, he wrote with these Tin Pan Alley Cuckoo Birds.
Right.
So you get to write, you know, you get to sing at least 10 different composers
Right,
in one night. Whereas if you're doing a Cole Porter show, you're singing Cole Porter. If you do Irving Berlin, you're doing Irving Berlin. If you're doing Jerome Kern, do you know? I like to have the diversity. But the next show that I'm doing at the Gardenia in
Yes.
June, it's Fred Astaire.
Fred Astaire with tails?
So, yes, with tails. So it is the dream come true. It's everything I've always
Was it a
wanted.
lot of work to get into all that? The Fred Astaire?
It's the work being done right now.
It is?
But in my way,
Yes.
for the last 20 years, I've always been doing a Fred Astaire show. I've
Really?
worshipped him since I was a child.
And you dance, too.
Uh-huh.
You're a dancer.
Uh-huh.
You really dance. You sing, you dance. You
I
do
have
it
to-
all.
I
Who
ha-
did you study acting with?
Oh, Uta Hagen
Well, that's one of the best.
and Henry Jaglom.
And Henry, yeah.
to be honest, yes, definitely.
Uda's, to me,
Henry
one of the
Jaglom.
best. And also, see, I don't know. You know, Susan Strasberg used to tell me, Strasberg is okay. If you mix it, you got to mix it with Strasberg.
Can
you
I
know.
be honest? If you do exclusively one
You
theory
cannot, yeah.
and one technique,
Yeah, you can't. Go ahead.
it isn't necessarily in your best interests. My feeling is I've studied with every director I ever worked with, right?
Right.
Every television show I did I not learn something? I've done over 20, 30, 40 episodes of episodic television. I learned
Right.
something from every director I've ever had.
What's a favorite TV show you've done? Do you have one?
Taxi.
Taxi. Oh, with Tony
Twice.
Danza? Was Tana? Yeah.
No, with
What?
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito.
He was my star.
He was
Tony was on it, but
Yeah,
he didn't
but-
play opposite me.
No.
Danny DeVito did. He was my love
Working with him.
interest.
Yeah, he was your love interest.
Oh,
wasn't he?
yes.
Tell me about Danny. He is a little
I blush
bundle
to
of
think of
joy.
it. I blush to think of it.
Really?
He was, yes, I played his girlfriend on it twice. It was the most hysterical thing I've ever done in my life. I learned so much about comedy being on that show. And thanks to Brooks, you know, to Jim Brooks for giving me that opportunity.
Right.
And thanks to Burrow, who's their director, their #1 director, who allowed me to be on it. You know, I
Right.
was a serious actress until then. No one thought I could be funny. And Jim Brooks said, look, you are so serious, it's funny. Just be more of yourself. Be more serious. And believe me, we'll laugh at you.
I think you're funny on stage.
I am now.
You are.
But then all I did was cry, you know, and
Yeah.
he said, just cry harder, cry louder, and you'll be funny. Until then, I'd never done any comedy at all. Never.
Never.
Not until 80.
And you put the
or
show
whatever it
together
was.
yourself.
Yeah, I write it
You
myself.
write your own show.
I direct it, too.
You direct, so you don't have any help. You're just like a one-woman.
I have the
Conductor.
help of the audience.
The audience. That's right. You made me.
I have a lot of help.
Yeah, you make me think.
I
when
have
I'm
the
out
help
there.
of the audience.
Uh-huh.
I have the feedback of my friends.
Uh-huh.
I have Donald Smith in my life. You must know Donald
Yes,
Smith
I
of
do.
the Mabel Mercer Foundation.
Yes, of course.
I have the feedback of my husband, who is beyond brilliant at giving me the...
What is he doing now?
He's just about to do Enchanted April
Uh-huh.
at the Pasadena Playhouse. And I have the greatest musical director that anyone could have, Shelley Markham.
Shelley Markham.
He's going to open with
wonderful.
Julie on Wednesday.
Yes. Is he going to be with Julie? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
He's on
wonderful.
loan. He's on loan.
Uh-huh. He's
No,
on
I know,
loan.
he's on loan.
You don't
I
give
have
away.
him on a short leash, very short leash.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. You worked the White House. Tell me
Yes.
about the White House.
I worked the White House.
Well, you know
shouldn't
what I
say
mean.
it
You
when it's for Bill
performed-
Clinton. I'm sorry.
This was for, who was it for?
Bill Clinton. So
My
you have to watch out
favorite.
when you say you worked the White House.
Well, you performed for Bill
I would have
Clinton.
worked.
You
I would have
performed.
worked the White House. I
At
would
least
have.
you performed for him, not the...
Oh, I performed all right.
The big liar we have now.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
liar we have now,
I
do
would have
not.
had a problem working the White House now.
Oh, terrible. Go ahead.
I had the thrill of singing for Bill. It rhymes.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was incredible. It was incredible. I sat at the same table as he did for dinner. And he was right across from me, the way you are now.
Was Hillary there?
She was at the table over here.
Okay.
It was the governor's ball. So
Was
you
she
know,
watching?
She could care less.
She cares. She's great. Go
She
ahead.
could care less.
Yeah.
She's a businesswoman.
Yeah.
And she was running the White House. I am telling you, she was running things.
Really?
Because he was, I mean, obviously he's a genius, she's a genius, but she
Right.
was doing the business end of the night,
Yes.
and he was doing the charm. He had a girl on his arm, a governor's wife,
Right.
who was so impossible.
Right.
She just was draped on him.
Uh-huh.
And I was just throwing her daggers. Would you leave him alone for a second so I could get his attention for 1 second? This woman wouldn't leave him alone.
Uh-huh.
And I had cold feet. Now, you know the expression, I got cold feet. Well, I've
Right.
used the expression for all my life. Oh, I had cold feet. I had blocks of ice for toes. I thought, I hope somebody doesn't ask me to stand up right this second because I have cold feet. He was so dreamy. You've never seen anything
He is
like
a
it.
great looking. I met him
Dreamy.
at Maestro's one night.
So yes, I worked the White House, but
You
I didn't
did
get to
work.
work it the way I would have worked it.
Darling, this album, let's talk about it before we leave.
Yeah. It's called How's Your Romance.
How's Your
It's
Romance? We
on
can-
my label, which is called Andrea's Song.
Andrea's song.
Andrea's
and
song.
I love it, Andrea. It's a great
Thank you. I'm very
great
proud of
songs.
it.
I'm
It's
very happy.
beautiful.
And it's beautiful. What's your favorite song in this?
How's Your Romance?
How's Your Romance?
No one sings it. It's a Fred Astaire song.
That's great. I love it. I think you're a delight, and I enjoyed you at the Roosevelt.
Well, do
And
come
you're
to the
gonna be, and
Gardenia.
you're going to be at the Gardenia when now?
June,
June?
but I'll be at Pepperdine on Friday.
Pepperdine Friday. Okay.
The
What day is
19th.
Friday now you're going to be?
March 19th,
March
and there's
19th.
single tickets still available
March
at Pepperdine.
19th. Okay.
March 19th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Skippy. Nice to see you.